Well, welcome, Andy.
Hello.
How are you?
How are you? I'm good, thank you.
Andy Manston from Clockwork Orange.
Yep.
Big old brand.
That's it.
How many years have you guys been going for?
Well, we started in 1993 on the 23rd of January, so we're coming up for 33 years.
Oh my God.
Next, is it 2025, isn't it? So 33 next birthday.
That's mad.
Crazy.
And so you and Danny are business partners. I interviewed Danny a few months ago. It's one of my first ever episodes.
Oh, really?
How did you guys meet and what's it been like working with him?
Well, so we met sort of through mutual friends, really. So we used to go to a nightclub called Naked Lunch, which was a really cool night.
That's a great name.
Yeah, back in the 90s, and one of my mates basically said, "Oh look," I goes, "Oh, you're not going to believe what happened." He goes, "I had some guy run up to me and chuck me a load of drugs, and I was getting thrown out. He was getting thrown out of the club. So he's like, meet me at Hollywood." So basically, Danny was like in the club, got the security were chasing him around. He's giving my mate some pills to look after, and then he got thrown out. And he went, "Oh, we're going to go meet him at Hollywood's in Romford because we're all from like Essex way." So that was how I kind of met him. So then we went down to Hollywood's to give him back his sweets, and that was it really. That was my first meeting of him, and so this is the next part of the story. So I was standing in there with him. So I never met the guy, and he's like, "Do you want a drink?" So I'm like, "Yeah, all right." So he's just leant over the bar and grabbed a bottle of vodka or something. Before we knew it, all the security had basically got the pair of us. And I'm sitting outside the club going like, "What the fuck?" You know what I mean? It's like literally that was my first meeting of him.
Incredible. And so you were friends before you did business together?
Yeah, we hanged out like in the mainly Hollywood's really, because we were kind of like Essex boys, and that was our kind of like go-to nightclub. We used to have like a Thursday night, which was like a bit like a student young night. Friday night was a thing called Culture Shock, and that was kind of where we hanged out. Then we started going to raves together and that, and then Clockwork was born.
And so you've had a brand 30 years.
Yeah.
How have you kept Clockwork relevant?
I mean, look, we become irrelevant because when we were like running it in the 90s, it kind of did peter out because we were so getting bang on it, and we just didn't really give a shit. We were just living life to the max. And
so you were partying and businessing.
Massively, yeah. We were crazy boys, crazy boys. But we didn't give a shit. We were just we were young guys, like living in Ibiza all summer, and just loving life. But unfortunately, with that comes the over excess of drink, drugs, and before you know it, you're in it. And we were literally like running Clockwork, I wouldn't say into the ground, but we weren't moving with the times because the music was changing. We were still stuck in our old ways and kind of like weren't really moving with the kind of changing where the music was going and stuff like that. And obviously like being completely like off our nuts most of the time. But since the rebirth, I think we've just we've just tried to keep it fresh, different venues. Originally, when it first started, it was predominantly our older crowd, our original crowd from probably back in the 90s, because what had kind of happened was when we relaunched it, a lot of people had like settled down, had children, but they still wanted to go out. So we kind of hit on this niche of like an older clubber that wanted to basically still go out. And it just kind of went from there, really. I mean, the first event we did was at McQueen's in Shoreditch, and it was only for like 350. And we were like, let's do something small because we want to just see how it goes. And I think it sold out in like a couple of days. And then it was a gradual, slow process, really. We just, I don't think we did another party for a complete year. So we then came back, did one a year later, and then we slowly was just doing, then we did one every 6 months. And then the brand just started building back up again. And now it's kind of become, so popular. And also what pleases me most with it is we're bringing in like a younger demographic now as well, which is like really good, because the thing is the obviously people that were coming out 20 years ago, Clockwork's been going now for another 15 years. If they were 50 then, so to kind of see a fresh faces coming through is really good. And it's definitely changing.
Yeah, and your events, you do big venues.
Yeah, we've done, like festivals, print works, like, big parties all over the world.
And in the time that you've rebirthed, I think there's also been a resurgence in like the daytime clubbing, because a lot of your events fall into that.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much, I think near enough every event we do now is a day show.
Yeah.
Because it's just so much easier for everybody. Because if you do want to come out for the day and you've got childcare and stuff like that, you can sort of like have that arranged. And, most of the places we do finish at 9 or 10, get the last train home, be home for like...
But it wasn't like that when you started it, no?
I mean, we did... Probably when we first launched, no, it was night shows, and they were like going on till 5, 6 in the morning. But what started happening is I think a couple of venues. I can't remember the first venue that started doing day shows. I mean, it might have been Printworks, but what we found was people were really loving doing the day thing.
Yeah,
and it's just how it's gone now. I mean, well, I don't think I'd do a night show anymore. Maybe if it was a club that I could only get at night, but what a lot of these clubs like is they like the promoters like us in the day, so they can do us in the day, and then they'll have another show in the evening. So it's kind of works well for them, works well for us.
Yeah, and your average demographic, how would you describe them?
I mean, this is the thing; it's changing so much because I think when we first launched, it was probably 35 to maybe 55, 60. Now, 25 right the way through, and the beautiful thing about Clockwork is you still get this. It's like a cult, it's like a family. Everyone looks out for everyone. What now seems to be happening is a lot of the parents that come in are bringing their kids, so We've got the full family there, and the young ones that are coming are like, oh my god, like people come up to my Ibiza that were like, we've never seen nothing like this. We've been to all these different raves. And this is just like so nice. Everyone's so friendly, and there's actually an atmosphere at Clockwork, And I think when they're at other events, they probably feel like they can't put their hands in the air because no one else is doing it. Everyone's just there with their phones out. Well, Clockwork's a totally different animal. Everyone just loses their shit basically, and that's what makes it. I think kids are like, this is actually what enjoying yourself in a club is about.
Letting loose, being free. Yeah. And so like this whole taking your family out. I've heard this about day raves. Is this something that was happening back in the 90s, or would you say this is quite a new thing?
I don't know. I mean, my parents have they've always come to the parties, and like my mum and dad are like in their 70s now, late 70s, and they were at the R348 show back in. So, I mean, look, the thing is, I think if your kids are old enough to go, then bring them, and that's what's happening. I think where some of these adults now their kids are now in, like my son's, he's 20 now, my daughter's 23, so they used to come to the festival before they're old enough, but they're at the events now, they want to come. So I think if you've got old kids and they love raving and they're happy to go out with their parents,
why not?
Yeah.
And so I want to go back to when you guys started Clockwork, and you said that you kind of ran it to the ground because of some of the ways that you were personally behaving with drink and drugs. Yeah. What did that look like for you day to day?
I mean, well, look, I mean, Danny see the light a long time before I did, so in the late 90s, we were living in Ibiza probably from May, April till October. We were running weekly events out there that were very successful. We was earning a ton of money, and we were living basically like rock stars. So we would just constantly just bang on it, did what we want basically, anytime. That's the thing in Ibiza. It's like bubble, innit? You're in a world where you just do what you want, and next day's carry on, and I think it's like anything with drugs and addiction, it's a gradual thing. You don't see it coming. It just, before you know it, you're in it. And we were just off the rails, trouble, getting arrested, had car crashes. And Danny had a bad crash in our van. I got nicked for basically rolling a car, but we just didn't give a fuck. We were just crazy fuckers, basically. Absolutely just mad. Danny, when Clockwork was coming to an end, what happened is there's a big thing happened in Spain. So we were running it. I can't remember what year it was now, about 99, 2000. There was a guy that basically went and trademarked all of the club brands in Spain. We turn up to Ibiza in 99 or 2000 to get told, oh, there's some court papers for you. So we're like, right. So we're like, well, what are they? And they're like, basically, went to see a solicitor and they said, basically, you can't use your brand. And we're like, yeah, but we own it. They're like, yeah, but this guy'd gone and trademarked all the logos for all the big clubs, Cream, Moneypennies, Manumission, the full lot. And basically stopped us using our brand. So we got to Ibiza. We used to print all our flyers in England. We had everything bought out on vans, and we're like, we had to change the name. And they're like, we went to court, and they're like, if you use the name, the Guardia Civil will come down and stop the night. Then I get a call from some guy in Benidorm, oh, if you want to use your name, you've got to pay us like tons of money. And we were like, fuck off. Well, A, we couldn't afford it, and B, we were like, nah, bollocks. So we tried to, I think we called it the Orange Summer of Love. We had to change the name slightly, and it just didn't connect. People were like, is it Clockwork? Is it not? You know, and it was just, we'd gone from 3,500 a week to struggling to get like, you know, 1,500 to 1,000. And
I'm guessing this is before social media and things that you could have done to...
It was all flyers, so you couldn't get the word out there. Like, you know, like now it'd be a piece of piss when we've this has happened, but we're going to be called this. It's the same thing. But then it was like by doing it on the beaches, flying and word of mouth and that, and it just didn't connect. I think people are like, this looks a bit dodgy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same lineups, but it clearly had an effect on what we were doing because we were nowhere near the numbers we needed to get. And then when you're paying like, you know, flying out all these expensive DJs, and if you're not getting in the numbers, then that's when it all gets a bit tricky.
Yeah, and so this was happening as you guys were also causing chaos in your personal lives.
And it was kind of petering out. We were doing events, and what was happening was we'd gone from basically being the top of the perch. You know, we were like selling out venues in record time. Then all of a sudden we were like putting on events and they weren't selling out, and it was becoming really, really, really tough. And what was happening in the kind of music scene was there was in the early 2000s, it was the explosion of the garage, and a lot of people just switched kind of music, and all of a sudden we were running like our kind of, you know, happy house music events, but a lot of people going to either progressive nights or garage. So the numbers started dwindling. Now, personally, I would never have gone down the route of playing garage or progressive at Clockwork because it wasn't what I was into. But that's just naturally what happened was the events just started. And then we were like, we tried a big event and it was in the Docklands, and it was a massive big party, 5,000. We only had like, I think 2,000 turn up, like lost 100 grand, and we were like just banging trouble. We were like, you know, we were young boys still, and we were like trying to like, you know, work out how we were going to pay for stuff and that was just what started happening, and it just was getting so more difficult to do. And you can just see it, you feel it, you know. I know every event we do, I know how they're going to sell. I can just, I get this, you know straight away. It's easy with social media, but like we just think this ain't working. You know, I was checking ticket sales every day, and I'm like, fuck. So, and then it just comes to a point, I think in about 2003, where Danny was just, he'd had it. You know, he was at rock bottom, and he just said, I don't want to do this no more. So he left. I tried to carry it on for a little while on my own, but it was just, the thing is, without Danny, I don't know what it is. It's just with the two of us,
power.
The magic's there. And I think probably where he weren't there, I was not working to my full capabilities because I wanted him. I probably missed him a bit and stuff like that. And that was it. So we carried on doing it for a little while, did a few parties, and it just kind of like, that's it. And it just sort of stopped. And then, and then we both went on our separate ways of, like, you know, Danny was then into recovery. He started working in constructions as well as I did. So we both just kept in touch. We did camping and stuff like that. And then, we just sort of like both basically just got on with, like, you know, normal jobs, I suppose. like in construction, site management. I was doing. Danny was like a contracts manager, and then it kind of like, so 2010, I think. The dates are just all a bit. So Danny started posting up all these old pictures on Facebook. So social media again.
Yeah.
This is what, like, basically. And he had all these. He kept all these original photos from, like, 93 up until 2000.
And you guys still post a lot of these on your Instagram.
Yeah,
I love it. Yeah.
And then he just started putting up these big blocks of all these different pictures from all the great times. And then people just started commenting, going, "Oh, you know what? How good would it be to have a little reunion?" And I'd asked Danny before about a couple of years ago about whether he'd fancy doing one, and he was like, "I'm not sure," you know what I mean. And then after with these pictures, there was like a bit of a buzz there. You could just feel it, like everyone was like, "Oh God, how good were these days? Clockwork was brilliant." And I just rang him up and I said, "Do you fancy it?" And he went, "Do you know what? I think I do." And that was it really. We just, like I said, went to McQueen's. Said, "Could we have a little do a little party night?" And off and running.
From there.
Yeah.
And so in this time, you said Danny had a bit of an awakening or a shift in behaviour with all the drink and the drugs, and he went into rehab. Was that the same for you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a lot later. Unfortunately, it took me a lot longer to see the light. But yeah, Danny basically was, when Clockwork finished, I think he'd had enough, and he went down that road. 23 years is it now? I think that's what he put a post the other day. But mine was a lot different. Unfortunately, I carried on doing it, and it's only now New Year's Eve a year and a half ago was like my kind of see the light moment.
Yeah, and what was that like for you after all of those years of partying?
It's been. I mean, look, I've wanted to stop taking drugs. I'd wanted to stop taking drugs for many years, and unfortunately, I didn't. And the problem is with it is I beat myself up with, like, I shouldn't be doing it, and I know I shouldn't be doing it, but I carried on doing it, and it took a lot of shit basically. My current girlfriend Jade is she's brilliant, and but I put her through hell. It's like and it's this is the problem. My mind, because when you've done drugs and you don't really want to do it, and you're loathing, you beat yourself up, and then what I would do is this would click in, and I'd start projecting blame. You blame everyone else. Like, let's face it, you take drugs. Oh, it's so and so's fault, or they had it. But who's the person that puts it up your nose or puts it in your mouth? It's you, isn't it? But you will blame everything and everyone else for how you're feeling. And what I would do is I would spend the week after the weekends are okay, they're great, aren't they? You don't know what you're up to, but Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday was shocking for me, and I'd go into this like hole. And what I would do is I'd lash out with this and saying things to get reactions. I'm ADHD as well, so that don't help, because I'm always like looking for reaction. Unfortunately, with this, it's you'll take any reaction, negative, positive. But I created so much drama through my mental health, and and then it just got to a point where I'd done it so many times, and I'd do the same thing, and I'd probably it's a thing called rejection dysphoria syndrome. If I'm not feeling like I'm wanted, then I lash out again, and there's all these different things I was doing, and I had another episode, like we went to Belgium, we had a lovely trip out there, and what I'd done is the Christmas up to that, I'd stopped taking drugs, Christ, God knows how many times, and stopped drinking, but always slipped back into it. And then what happened was that Christmas I'd been basically really partying, like, not all going mental, but I'd had a right few days of drinking, taking drugs, and And then when I got to Belgium, I kind of in my head started like feeling bad about myself and putting myself down. Anyway, cut long story short, this kicked in, ruined the trip, come back to England, ruined New Year's Eve. And then my pattern is like, you know, I'll go months, I'll do little bits, but then eventually I'll end up drinking loads, taking drugs and smashing bottles of vodka. And done so, completely ruined the holiday, completely ruined New Year's Eve. Sent like loads of messages, can't even remember what I was doing. Like I had a massive Barney, and I woke up on New Year's Day, and I kind of knew what was coming. You know what I mean? Because I kind of knew I'd been warned so many times, if you do this again. And before she'd even said to me like, I can't be with you. You know, you need to go and sort yourself out. You're not happy. And I just sat in the sofa and I just was like, I can't do this shit no more. I really can't. You know, I've got to stop because he's going to fucking kill me and ruin me. And that was the start of it. We did split up. And that's what Jay said to me. He said to me, you need to go away and you're not happy. You know what I mean? You need to go away and find yourself because you're clearly not happy. And I wasn't. You know, I was messed up through many, many years of abuse. And so I went away. I went to my mum's. I reached out to Danny, of course. But again, this is the thing. Danny's heard me, you know, and this is the thing with addiction. You will promise the earth, you know, I won't do this again. And you're doing it just to appease the people around you. And then you break that promise. And this is what I'd done with Jade. I broke that promise so many times. She had no trust in me. You know, she just didn't believe anything I said because I was basically a lying, bullshitting. And same with Danny. I've told Danny probably, I'm not doing it anymore. I'm quitting. But this time something felt a bit different. Danny said to me, you will know there'll be that light bulb moment. And it was. I was like, I can't do this no more. And then for the first time, I think I went away. And I wanted to do it for me, not to just appease everyone around me by telling everyone that I was... Because in my head, I'm probably thinking, I'm going to say I'm not doing it, but I will do it again, you know? And then I went... so I reached out to Brandon Block, and I was just like, I need help, mate. I said, I'm in this, like, my mind is fucked. I've got... I'm angry, I'm very angry, I'm volatile, I snap, I'm crazy, you know? I just can't control my emotions. So he put me in touch with a guy called Sean McNicholas, who's a behaviour, and he's an ADHD expert. And so Sean rings me, says, right, so tell me your story. So he basically, I told him like my story, and he said, like, everything you've said to me is me back in the day. Now Sean is a very good friend of mine now. But basically, he's took me on this crazy journey of getting into this and working out why I do what I do. And yeah, it's been incredible, really. He's amazing. He's an amazing man. I want some commission, Sean, because I put so much business your way. Every time I do a podcast, they're like, "Could you give me the number of your therapist?" But he just basically got into me. He stripped me right back. And what he always said to me was, drink and drugs are not the problem here. There's something deep and underlying that makes you want to take drink and drugs because they're the mask for the mind of how you're really feeling. So we got into, like, put me in subconscious hypnosis and stuff and got into my inner subconscious. And it was like things from childhood. And there's these different, like, fight and flight, whereas my tolerance levels are so tight. If you say something and I take it the wrong way, I don't listen to what you've said, but I perceive it as it is, and I'll come back and say something. And so we had to go through this really mad process of kind of removing the inner child from me. You know, because I was it's where I'd had things happen to me, like in my childhood, that I was out of control of. This is this kind of defense mechanism that I've created where I act in this certain way. And I'm very, very, like, defensive. So if anyone puts it on me, I'll, like deflect. I'll say something to upset them. And it had to like take, months of therapy to kind of teach me to listen rather than just react and listen to what people are saying and stuff like that. And then with Jade, what was happening? We kept in touch because I loved her to bits. I didn't want to lose her. I'm going to get upset now, but I didn't want to lose her. And I was like, she was like, look, we're done. But deep down, I probably was praying that I could maybe prove to her that I'm getting upset, to prove to her that that I could like change, And what just started happening was, without me really even realising it, I was changing, but I didn't know. And she probably could see that there was things happening with me, the way I was reacting to situations and change and stuff like that. And yeah, so we kind of stayed in touch. The therapy was going really well. I did a lot of AA as well. That was really, really helpful for me, going to meetings and listening to just other people that were nothing like me, but like they had the same kind of story. And when you listen to when you're in a room with people and there's a librarian or a bank robber, or like just whatever's different, totally different people from different walks of life, and then they turn around and they say something and it's like, I was like, what did you just say? It's like it's come out, the way I think, because the thing is, addiction it's an illness, what I mean? It's a mental illness. It's not a physical addiction. It's this. But when you hear people talk and you can relate to what they're saying, it's so euphoric, it makes you think, oh my God, I'm not the only one out there that thinks like that, So we basically we kept in touch, and I had a tour of Australia about March. So yeah, I'd stayed at my mum's. I don't know if we did meet up. I don't know. And then basically before I went to Australia, we were talking, and I just thought I really want to see you before I go. So we arranged to meet. So we went and met. Took her up. She loves lamb tagine, so I made her my special, like as a bribe. And we went and met and talked, and it was like, look, I can really see you're trying hard. Because the thing is, that's what I said to you. You've got to understand, this girl was basically being promised time and time again that I'm going to change, and I never did. And the trust and the walls go up, and it took a long time for her to start trusting me again. And so we sort of said, look, let's see how Australia goes. And then when I got back, we met again, and we were like let's give it another go. Now we got engaged.
And you're engaged. Yeah. Oh, congratulations.
So it's been a crazy roller coaster. Don't want to use the pardon the term, but so it's been it's been mad. I mean, my life's been crazy. Yeah. I've done some stupid, silly things along the way.
And so do you think, like, being in the industry that we're in and like having and maybe an addictive personality, all these things that you're working through, do you think it's a good industry to be in with drinking drugs around so much?
I mean, look, I don't struggle in the clubs so much. The things I always found the hardest were more personal experiences. So being out with Jade, like, a meal where I'd love to have a glass of wine, cocktails. I love cocktails, and that was my thing. And I miss, like, I know you can have some lovely fruity drinks, but there's something about a cocktail. I don't know, it's the alcohol, the way it fuses it all together. Even like my parents being up, because it's kind of what I associate with drinking and getting on it. The clubs, I kind of made when I was on one of my previous I'm Stopping, I kind of made the decision that was work. So I had to go to these clubs and do my job. So I'd kind of already put that in place, that I wasn't going to be really getting on it in clubs and that. So that was already kind of in that one was already, the wheels were in motion on that. So for me, no, I find clubs now, never used to, because they was an easy. Yeah, it's temptation, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, at the end of the day, you're in an environment where everyone, let's face it, pretty much most people are taking drugs or will be offering you drugs. So yeah, if you get tempted, it's an easy thing to do. So, but yeah, my thing was more like, you know, like the personal thing I really struggled with, because it was like what I remember, you know, it's association as well. You associate with what you remember, and believe it or not, that doesn't never change, because it's what you've done for most. Like, you know, I've drunk and I've taken drugs for most of my adult life, so it's a long process to get that to change. You know, making you feel like you're missing out, the FOMO and stuff like that. But it gets easier. It never goes away. I do still get moments where I feel a little bit FOMO and missing out. But you've only got to look in, you know, the proof's in the pudding in how everything's changed for me, you know. Because I guarantee, you know, we have arguments, like me and Jay, but they're over like me leaving coffee cups out and not shutting the door properly and stuff like that. But not compared to anything like what it used to be like. There was drama all the time, and that doesn't happen now. You know.
And so, do you think you'll ever go back to having a cocktail or a drink?
I did think about it, and I contemplated it, but what is the point? You know, the thing is, this is the one thing they say with AA, one leads to another. And it's not the 10th drink that does you, it's the first one. It's kind of like, if I start down that road, I'm just going to open probably the gateways up to like where and that's the thing, the pattern is, my pattern is always the same. I stopped drinking, I stopped taking drugs, then I'll be like, I stopped for 6 months, I think, once. I didn't take drugs for a year, but then I was like, well, I'll have a glass of wine. Then it'd be 2 glasses of wine. Then it'd be 3 cocktails. Then it might be 4 or 5 pints down the pub. Then it's like, oh, you know what you need, didn't you? And then it was like, more drink, more drugs. If I can't get to sleep, I'll sit there and I'll down a bottle of vodka. And then that's when hell breaks loose. And that's kind of what finally worked out. The pattern is always the same, albeit over a space of a year or 2 years, but it always ends up back at that point. So yeah, but that's another part of my subconscious feeling left out. Oh, you know, you need to have a cocktail or a glass of wine. Well, why do you? What's it going to do? It's just going to basically lead to probably you wanting more, because then it will be, your mind tells you, well, that was okay, wasn't it? I mean, I even took, like, when I took drugs again for the first time in a year, I said to myself, oh, that's all right, you've had a line, you ain't muted up like you normally do. But that means then next time you want 2 lines. And that's the problem with the whole process, you know. You just when you've been past that point, you just don't know when to stop, and you're chasing a buzz you're never going to get again. You're trying to chase this buzz of, like, you know, what it was like the first time you had it. You ain't getting that. You know, you just go straight into paranoia. And only people that have crossed that line will understand where I'm coming from.
So do you think there is a healthy way that someone can have a good relationship with drugs and take drugs well?
I mean, look, I'm sure if you're moderate and you do it the right way, then I suppose so, but it's difficult for me to say, because all I know is excess. You know? I mean, yeah, there is, because I know people that do live a healthy life, take a little bit and drink, but that's the problem with just addiction, isn't it? You always push it to the levels of, you go above and beyond what anyone else would, like what any normal person would do. A normal person would have a little bit, enjoy their night and then go to bed. Well, an addict will sit up all night on their own in their pants with a carving knife, looking out the curtains, and then thinking, I shouldn't be doing this because I'm paranoid to fuck, but I'll still do some more. And I drink more, and that's the difference.
And when you're in that state of that, because obviously you can talk now really objectively about that addictive cycle, but when you're in it, are you like aware that you're in it? No.
You think everything's normal. You think it's all acceptable. You're selfish. You want to be on your own most of the time. It makes you think that you don't want to be around anyone. Like when I'm in that, like when I was in that worst point, all I wanted to do was get away and be on my own with my drugs, you know. And that's the mad thing, because it makes you think you don't, it turns you into a really selfish human being, because you think I've done things now that I look back on and I'm like absolutely disgusted with how my behaviour. But at the time when it was going on, I thought it was normal. You know what I mean?
And what would like the emotional cycle be like afterwards?
Awful.
When you became aware?
Well, when you go through this weekly process of what I did, you sit there, you're like, what have I done? Oh my God, I can't remember. I'm going to have to lie to everyone again. Jade's going to know I've done this or I've got on it. And you go into this really negative headspace, and that's it then. And then you don't want to, you know, I mean, I used to literally spend 4 days hiding away, didn't want to speak to anyone. You mean as in, oh, don't get me wrong. Look, I'm not proud of how I was. I'm not, you know. And like I've done, I'm not a horrible person. I'm not a wrong 'un. I'm a nice, kind person. But when I'm on that shit, I don't give a shit about anyone. And that's the problem with it. You don't care about your loved ones. You don't care about anything. You don't care about what you got on the next day. It's just what you're doing at that point. And it's a horrible, horrible drug.
And so how did it impact those around you? Like, have you spoken to them about their experience?
I mean, look, I split up with my wife in 2019 of my previous marriage, and I put most of it down to, I mean, this was messed up, and I didn't know where I wanted to go. I was a messed up human being, but yeah. I mean, we don't really speak. It didn't end great, and I need to go and I've got to apologise to her one day. You know what I mean? Because I have to, because there is things now I can see now, but I couldn't see then where I was. And again, I've gone and done the same thing to Jade. Me and Jade have been through the ringer. You know what I mean? And I've done all the things really what I used to do when I was on drugs and stuff like that. But luckily I see the light and needed to, you know, because I've done this for 20 years. Years.
And so when you were building business and obviously like going back in with Danny, was there ever moments where Danny was like, I can't, like, you're impacting the business in a negative way?
Yeah. I mean, luckily Danny, I had Danny to ride off a little bit. I mean, I still pulled my weight,
of course,
but I remember him having a go at me once because I was so negative about everything, and I can't remember what it was. And it was a line, I don't know, and I was like, I'll do it later. It was always later. Everything was tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow because I couldn't be bothered. Basically, I couldn't be bothered. I'm too smashed up. I'm like, oh, fuck that. I'll leave that till. That's the problem with, like, when you're on that come down. Yeah. Everything's manana. And Danny was like, can you give me this line? I went, when I'm like, putting brick walls up and that, and he just went absolutely mental at me and went, what is going on with you? You know what I mean? Yeah, but like, luckily, Danny was on the ball because he was sober. And yeah, between us, we kept it going. I mean, we kept it going bloody well, really. I mean, I was quite sneaky, and a lot of people don't. You know, it was behind closed doors.
Yeah.
So this is the thing what I always say with everything. You wear a mask. So what people see in the Clockwork and at me at gigs, it's not the same Andy Manston you see on a Monday morning. You know what I mean? And that's the big thing. You paint this kind of like, you know, yeah, everything's great, and everyone's saying, oh my God, look, Andy, like. But then when I'm like at home, giving my missus hell, and I'm like walking around depressed, and I don't want to go out the house and all that. No one sees that. And then I rock up Friday to do my radio show, and I'm happy, like I'm like this. So, you know, because I have to put on a show for it. You know, not a show, but I can't go on there going, hello everyone, welcome to Centreforce. you know what I mean? So you change the way you are in different situations. Yeah. And Danny luckily was I mean I was really talking to him the other day. He was in Ibiza, and I hadn't been to bed, and he would do all the meetings anyway. I was like sitting in this bar like oh shit. Sitting in this bar like come on, we're gonna go to it, and he went, you ain't going nowhere, mate. I'll go and do the meeting, you know, because he was literally like, I can't take you. Look at the state here. So, but Danny loves it now because he's got a reliable, take some of the stress away from him.
And it's incredible because you obviously did pull your weight. He didn't walk away. You guys have been business partners for 30 years. So in spite of what you were going through behind the scenes, you've obviously pulled weight enough to still keep this alive and now be able to be where you are, which is epic.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And it sounds like Danny sounds like a great person to be around in his patience with it as well, right?
Yeah, he's a lunatic.
He is.
But he's...
That's very true.
He's just... What I love about Danny is what some people can't deal with, he tells you exactly how it is. He
100%.
Does, and that's what I love about him, because that's the reason why me and him work, because there's no grey area, and if he don't like something I'm doing or whatever, he'll tell me. And if he don't like a club that we're going to do, we always have this like rule, unless we both agree, it doesn't happen. Even if I'm going, this is the one, we got to do it. We both have to agree. But that's the thing. I think some people just can't, like the way Danny is so honest, I suppose, they can't deal with it because he tells you exactly how it is, doesn't he?
Oh, he'll tell you no. Like, he won't agree with you for the sake of it. Like, he'll tell you no if it's a no. And I really respect that in people because you just know where you stand with them,
exactly.
right?
But that's what I want to know where I stand. I don't like,
Yeah. And so working with someone for like 3 decades, that is a massive achievement.
Yeah.
What would you say, and I know like you had your break in between and stuff like that, but you stayed friends.
Yeah.
What has been like maybe some of the secrets or the key things that have kept that alive?
I just think, look, we both love what we do. And honestly, I suppose, between us, I trust Danny. Like, Danny could do anything and I would never question anything Danny does, because I trust Danny. I always have done. So anything that we do together is like, we want to just basically make our events the best, like as in we want to look around at these clubs and think we've done this and just see, although money aside, like don't get me wrong, everyone wants to earn money, but I love just looking at, wow, look at all these happy people and people coming up to you and going, you have changed my life. All these people that are just so, please don't stop what you do, we love it that much, and that's it. It's creating magic, as we call it.
It's powerful.
Just like making these places so happy.
And what do you think is it that makes someone have that experience like, you've changed my life? That's a big statement,
I think with Clockwork, like you said, it's a community, and I think people feel so wanted and loved in there, and they can come from anywhere, and there's not many places anywhere like you can go to where everyone's accepted. It's like, like I always try and compare Clockwork to like in 89, 90 when the rave started. There used to be, like, you'd go in a warehouse and it would be full of literally every race, every colour, every age. And that was when it exploded, you were literally dancing with like a 60-year-old man. And that's like Clockwork, you've got this family kind of environment where people all look out for each other. I mean, there's even like that, this is how lovely it is. I see some posts for Ibiza and someone's like, oh, I'm coming out on my own, I'm a little bit scared. And then on the post, here's my number, give us a call, you can come and hang out with us. Now, where does that go on? And literally the love and the energy and the vibe in them rooms of everyone is just, and that's it. What I saw in Ibiza this year just absolutely blew me away. It was just magic, pure magic. The smiles, you could just see I love everyone. I'm like, we're so happy to be here. And that's the thing. That's what makes it so amazing.
And so where did you do in Ibiza this year?
So we did like a week of parties. Started off at Cafe Del Mar on the Wednesday night. It was like a soft opening that turns into like complete madness. Then we did boat parties on the Thursday. Then we went back to 528, which was the old Benamusa Park, which was just probably one of the best gigs I've ever done in my life. It's just incredible. Then we had an Esparity Day party on the Saturday, then the beach party on the Sunday, which is like the one if you've been, and then Mambo's on the Monday.
Nice.
So it's like it's a long week, and for people that are getting involved, it's a hard week, but it was just it's put me. I was a little bit like, oh, I'm not sure about Ibiza. It's getting really expensive now, and like people don't seem to want to go anymore. After this year, I'm like, no, I'm back in love with Ibiza again. You know?
I'm going for the first time this season in September.
Oh,
I normally go. I used to live there. I've gone like 23 times, but this is my first time this season that I haven't gone out this year. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
Yes, it's amazing to hear about the community element of what you do and the way that it's actually real and connected. And obviously, you guys started like back before social media was a thing, and you could build stuff online. Do you think that's impacted that sense of like real community within Clockwork?
No, I think it's more community now with the socials because everyone can interact with it.
Got you. Yeah. So
much more easier for people to get their point across, tell you what they want or where they want to go, or if they're not happy with something, because it's a much easier way of getting you just got to post on a feed, haven't you, to say, oh, didn't like this, or this was brilliant.
Yeah.
We get more feedback. We never got any feedback in the 90s because no one knew, unless you saw someone out. It was flyers outside nightclubs or posting them. You know what I mean? Or magazines, Mix Mag, putting out Mix Mag and stuff like that.
Because that's interesting, because so many people in our industry are like, let's go back to grassroots connection, what it is. But you're actually saying social media has built your brand better and more connected. Social media's built our brand full stop, without a shadow of a doubt. Yeah. Without the initial Facebook, it would never have got off the ground. Because I don't think you could physically give flyers out at clubs anymore. It's not really allowed, is it, with lots of councils? Well, I'm sure you could do it, but you know what it's like. It's like, oh, hello, here you go. And there's like 1,000 flyers on the floor. Yeah. So no, it's definitely, it's just how it is now, isn't it? It's the world we live in now. And it's allowed you to go super global because you've been so many different countries, haven't you? Since we're getting we're doing we like Australia. Thailand, we've got New Year's Eve there again, got some parties coming up in Dubai. What are you doing in Dubai? I don't know if I can say yet. It's not been announced yet. So, exciting. Yeah, a couple of events coming up later in the year. There's stuff in the pipeline, but like I won't say until it's all in there. Are you going to do another festival though? Come on. Are we gonna get Clockstock back? What do you reckon, guys? Should we do Clockstock again? I think everyone's going to say yeah. Oh, they are all saying yeah. Look, never say never. I miss it. People know the reasons why we've kind of pulled away from it, like just because of the cost of it. But you never know. Andy's going to be making that phone call again soon, Danny. We spoke about it, but there's no plans at the moment. Yeah. We just want to, if we did it again, we'd have to get it right. Yeah. And we wanted to kind of like see how the land lies this year. And I'm so glad we didn't do it this year because it looks like it's been a tough year again. And if I'm honest, from not having that on this year, it's opened up everything so much for all the other events that are just absolutely flying. So we know that takes a big chunk out of the year, that festival, because it's in June, but from March to September, that's kind of all everyone's thinking about, and it puts people off going to other events because they want to go to that. Because we've not done that this year, everything's like selling out in record speed, like it was pre-COVID, really. Yeah. So, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see. And so how can listeners, like, if they haven't ever tapped into any of the events, where can they find tickets? How can they tap into everything that you do? Well, the best place to go is obviously go to the socials, Clockwork Orange Club on Insta and Clockwork Orange on Facebook, or clockworkorange.co, www. And then all the information will be on there for anything we got going on and ticket links and stuff like that. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Andy. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you.